Right now, breaking news on News Channel 8.
In just minutes, former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender at the Fulton County Jail, which you see right there. His plane is set to land at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport any moment now. The former president facing felony charges, accused of trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Lee. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've now seen this process play out several times, but there are some differences this time around. 8 on Your Side investigator Masa Saidi breaks down the unique challenges to Trump's legal team.
Well, this is all playing out in Fulton County. In that jurisdiction, the booking and the arraignment don't happen on the same day. But when the arraignment does happen, it could be the most dramatic because in Georgia, they allow cameras inside courtrooms. Now, this is a RICO case against a former president in state court, and it's truly something we've never seen before.
The fourth criminal case against former President Trump. Some say it poses the greatest threat to his freedom. Trump and 18 allies are accused of working towards one common goal: to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. The indictment identifies various acts to further that alleged objective.
I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender.
Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis says the defendants created fake electors, lied to state officials, and harassed election workers. Willis charged Trump and associates, both known and unknown, with violating Georgia's RICO statute. The Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act is typically used to go after organized criminal groups, street gangs, and the mob.
The RICO statute is kind of a conspiracy on steroids.
Former prosecutor Michael Bachner says if convicted, the defendants would face mandatory jail sentences. So RICO raises the stakes.
That is the type of pressure that can be used to exert on underlings, people substantially below where Trump falls in the food chain, to try and get them to cooperate against him.
You know, she's taken a bigger gamble where the risk and the reward are both much higher.
Tim Parlatore was one of Mr. Trump's former attorneys in the Mar-a-Lago documents case. He says RICO requires a pattern of activity and continuity. For example, multiple robberies over an extended period of time. Parlatore says Willis is using RICO in a novel way here. He believes the Georgia case may be transferred to federal court and eventually dismissed.
Yeah, if you and I agree that we're going to go rob a bank, and we steal a car, we rob the bank, we take a gun, under Fani Willis's theory, that becomes a RICO. She's trying to take this tool and stretch it far beyond the limits of what the legislature and the Supreme Court has put in place.
Now, there are 2 federal cases against the former president. If convicted and reelected, President Trump could potentially pardon himself in the federal cases, but that is not the case with this Georgia case. Mr. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. He calls this a politically motivated witch hunt intended to stop his reelection. Reporting in the Tampa News Center, I'm investigator Masa Saidi. 8 on Your Side.
Thank you, Masa. And we want to show you images of the former president's plane landing right now in Atlanta. This is at Hartsfield Airport. The president flew in from Newark, New Jersey. He will deplane shortly and then make his way to the Fulton County Jail, where he will turn himself in. He will likely be photographed and have a mugshot released and pay a $200,000 bond. We will, of course, have more details on the former president's arrest in a few moments. But first, a tropical depression could form in the Gulf next week, possibly impacting the Bay Area. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli joins us now with that.
Yeah, it's looking more likely that we are going to be impacted by something tropical the beginning of next week, around Tuesday or Wednesday. And the models are leaning towards a tropical depression or tropical storm. Could it be stronger? Could it be a low-end hurricane? It's possible. So we'll throw that out there, but it's not probable. It also could just be a very disorganized disturbance. Take a look at what the National Hurricane Center says. Medium chance of development. That's indicated by the color orange. The actual disturbance itself is located over Central America, so it's not over the water right now. It has to move into the Western Caribbean over the water before it can start to form. But certainly it is a pretty vigorous disturbance. You can see that with all the showers and thunderstorms right there. So let's show you the water vapor loop, and it really shows where the moisture is. It shows where the storm is itself. and we'll push this forward into the weekend. Here we are on Sunday evening. You can clearly see that a storm is trying to take place as the European model right off the Yucatan, so places like Cozumel and Cancun, but there's a lot of tropical moisture. So either way, the tropical moisture is going to be heading our way. The question is just how well formed and how strong will this storm be, and then exactly where will it go? Most of the computer models push it very close to the Tampa Bay area, give or take, let's say 75 miles or so. So this is a storm that we have to watch very closely. We're going to see some heavy rain from this. The question is just how strong will the winds be? We could see some strong gusts as well. We'll talk more details on this in just a few minutes and your weekend forecast as well.
All right, thank you, Jeff. A 73-year-old woman in Clearwater is dead tonight. She was struck by lightning near her home. It happened at the Bayside Gardens 4 complex. That's on Gulf Boulevard on Sand Key. Fire rescue officials say a tourist found Kathleen Carrick's body lying on a sidewalk near her condo yesterday evening. Officials say no one witnessed the lightning strike.
I just saw her around the complex. She would go to the pool sometimes. Very nice, all the interactions I've had with her.
The city of Clearwater recently bought a severe weather detection network. That system will notify people on beaches and parks when it is unsafe to be outside. A Bay Area man is facing charges tonight. Investigators say his neighbors caught him on hidden camera injecting a liquid into their home. The couple thought something was wrong when their 10-month-old baby started vomiting and crying, and they smelled chemicals near the door. Then they installed a hidden camera and saw this. The couple tells us their downstairs neighbor, Zhu-Ming Lee, had complained about them for months. Lee was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including possession of a controlled substance and burglary.
We were like shaking, but we can't imagine that he is coming and doing something. And as I know that he is a chemistry student, we became so scared.
In a statement to 8 on Your Side, Lee's attorney said he pled not guilty and all of the facts will eventually come out. James Staten of Olympus Pools remains in jail tonight. A judge denied his request for release with no bond. Staten, whose business practices were first highlighted in a Better Call Bankin investigation, is charged with 35 felonies. Shannon was the only reporter in the courtroom and has the latest.
In the end, the judge agreed to lower the $2.8 million bond, but only to just over $1 million. Staten's attorney tells me that that is still not enough to help him get out of jail.
Staten, how are you? You can go ahead and have a seat with your lawyer.
For the first time since his arrest, James Staten walked into a courtroom and faced some of his customers, while his attorney argued to lower his $2.8 million bond.
At this moment, right now, in this courtroom, he's innocent. And what this court needs to be assured of is that he's going to come back here tomorrow, and that he's not going to hurt anybody else.
Prosecutor Stephanie Bergen argued Staten is a flight risk, since if found guilty on 35 felonies, he faces at minimum 20 years in prison. A financial analyst testified Staten used company credit cards on personal expenses like Nordstrom department store and luxury brand Louis Vuitton.
He took their money. He abandoned their projects. Abandoning is in my argument here, is equivalent to failing to appear. Time and time again, he took their money, sometimes full cash payments up front.
Staten's mother testified her son is a loving husband and father and needs to be at home. She said he stopped trying to finish pools only because the state of Florida forced him to relinquish his contractor's license amid complaints. Staten's wife was in the courtroom but declined to speak. Customer Carmen Simpson called the judge's lower bond hearing of just over $1 million fair.
I think that she held it up high enough so that it is fair for all the victims as well.
What was it like to see James Staten in court today?
It was a great feeling to see him there because of what I've gone through all these years with my pool. And it was a sad situation at the same time because I think it's a lesson for all contractors. And I think every contractor probably should have been sitting in there and learning a lesson.
Staten's attorney tells me that this bond is still excessive and that Staten's family and friends together have been unable to come up with the collateral for the bond. He tells me his client is not a criminal and is a victim of bad business brought about by the pandemic. I'm Shannon Bacon, 8 on Your Side.
News Channel 8 keeping tabs on that breaking news playing out in Georgia tonight. If you're just joining us, former President Donald Trump is expected to surrender at the Fulton County Jail in just minutes. This is Trump's 4th criminal indictment. Anna Warnicki joins us now live from Washington. And Anna, kind of run us through what we can expect tonight.
Hi, Jen. Well, when former President Donald Trump surrenders himself, it's going to look a little bit different than what we've seen in the others during the past year, particularly because there's not going to be an immediate court appearance. That's going to take place likely the week after Labor Day. And when former President Trump is processed, he will likely receive a mugshot. This will be his first mugshot of these 4 indictments so far. The judge overseeing this case has been very clear that he will not get any special treatment, and he will be booked and processed just like every other inmate.
Anna, hang with me here for a moment while we show our viewers these live images at the airport in Atlanta. We see the former president's motorcade right now. He is about to get off of the aircraft as we speak. And we're going to continue to look at these images, but I wanted to also follow up with you. You said the arraignment's not going to happen until probably after Labor Day. We do know that in Georgia, we have talked about this on our newscast, that there are cameras allowed in the courtroom. Do we think a judge would make that allowance in this particular case?
Well, it's actually very interesting because the judge overseeing this case has allowed cameras in the courtroom through September 8th. So as long as the arraignments take place before that window is up, this would be the first time any of Trump's criminal proceedings would be televised. Now, ultimately, it is up to that judge to decide whether or not to extend that request. And it's up to that judge to decide whether or not to allow cameras in the courtroom for future trials. This one in particular is not expected to take place until late October.
That is an aggressive timeline, Anna, and we understand there may be some efforts to push that further. Do you have a sense at all if that is a realistic timeline, that October date?
We are still waiting and seeing what's going to happen. We've, obviously a lot of things have to play out in between now and the next week and the next few weeks in particular. So it will depend on whether these arraignments do take place during that week after Labor Day. That's when the judge has requested for that to happen. And the judge did recently come out saying that she would like it to, the potential trial to be set for, I believe, October 23rd. And if that does happen, then things will move very quickly forward. But a lot of things have to play out first before that trial date can actually be set.
And Anna, one quick question before I let you go. It's also worth noting here that if Donald Trump were convicted in Georgia, that is a state charge, he would not be able to pardon himself, correct?
That is correct, and we actually heard from several of the candidates during the debate last night, the primary debate, that they asked each other, would you pardon the president if he is convicted? There were some interesting responses. Some did say they would. Some obviously said that they wouldn't as well. So it will be interesting what happens playing forward.
Anna Wernicke, live for us in Washington, D.C. We appreciate you. We continue to look at this live shot right now, though, of former President Donald Trump plane. He is walking down the jetway as we speak. You can see him there in his dark suit, his red tie. This is he is about to load up in his motorcade, and he will make the drive to the Fulton County jail. And he will be booked in on this indictment there. And he will, we are told, have a mugshot taken, and then he will eventually post a $200,000 bond. We will continue to monitor this story. We will follow the latest developments, the former president's 4th indictment, and all of his legal battles. We have those details for you on air and online at WFLA.com. In the meantime, stay with us. We'll be right back. Let's take a look at your consumer headlines in a moment, but right now we want to show you images of former President Donald Trump's motorcade leaving Hartsfield International Airport in Atlanta, making its way to the Fulton County Jail. We understand it's about a 15-minute drive from the airport to the jail. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this story and bring you all of the developments throughout the evening. In the meantime, let's get back to those consumer headlines. Wall Street in the red tonight. The Dow falling 373 points, the S&P down 59, and the Nasdaq dropping 257 points. The Department of Justice also suing SpaceX, claiming the space company discriminated against refugees and asylum seekers, refusing to hire them. The lawsuit says Elon Musk's company claimed export control laws limited its hiring to U.S. citizens and permanent residents. T-Mobile says it will lay off 7% of its workforce over the next 5 weeks. That's about 5,000 workers. The company's CEO says the job cuts are mainly corporate. Still ahead, we are checking in on the tropics. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli has your full forecast in just a couple of minutes. We continue to follow that breaking news. Former President Donald Trump heading to the Fulton County Jail as we speak to turn himself in on those election charges that he is facing. This is a live look at from inside a press vehicle following his motorcade. We are getting moment by moment updates. This is now an aerial view of the president's actual motorcade. We'll continue to follow this for you and keep you updated on everything as it develops.
Max Defender 8, the most advanced weather radar in Florida.
So the big story for us is what is going to happen eventually with this tropical system. Will it be a tropical disturbance? Will it be a tropical depression or tropical storm when it reaches us sometime around Tuesday or Wednesday? Tough call right now, but the National Hurricane Center says there's a 60% chance of development once it enters the Western Caribbean. Right now, X marks the spot. It's actually located over land over Central America. This is what our computer models say. By Sunday morning, something should be forming, some type of low-level circulation right near the Yucatan. If it's over the water, it has a better chance of becoming a stronger storm. If it's over land, it does not. Almost all the computer models focus the attention on the west coast of Florida, as you can see, and very close to the Tampa Bay area. So this is something that we need to watch closely. As it stands right now, most of the computer models show a depression or a tropical storm. There's the outside chance it could be a little bit stronger than that. Back to that in just a couple of seconds. Let's take a look at Crystal River right now. It's a very nice evening out there. Still on the hot side. Didn't rain in Crystal River today, so we don't have the rain-cooled air. Temperature right now is 91 degrees, and there's nothing left on Max Defender 8 radar. It's all quiet now. We did have a couple of quick-moving spotty showers earlier today. Tonight, it'll be dry when you wake up in the morning, lots of sun. That's going to heat us up. Tomorrow, I do think we'll probably see a record high. And it's not just tomorrow. I think we'll continue to see record highs straight into the weekend. We're forecasting 97 degrees, as you can see, as we head into Saturday. So dry air is on top of us tomorrow, on Saturday, on Sunday. So rain chances 10, 20%, maybe 30% at max. Then we turn our attention to the south. Area low pressure forms near the Yucatan, starts to move our way. Moisture increases here, especially on Tuesday. So Monday night and Tuesday, the rain begins. Could see some gusty winds as well. It depends upon how strong this system is. And we could see a few inches of rainfall. Just how much rain? Well, this is the European model, and the European model is the strongest of the models. And what it shows for us is generally about 2 to 4 inches of rain, but coastal areas could see more than that. Again, it depends upon the eventual track of the storm. And we could see tropical storm force wind gusts starting as early as Tuesday into Tuesday night and into Wednesday as well. If it's as strong as the European says it is going to be, then we could see some gusts over 50 miles an hour. Here's a look at your 8-day forecast now. Storm chances low. The heat will be very high through the weekend, and that looks like we'll get a good dousing of rain as we head to next week. We're back in a couple minutes.
We want to leave you with one last aerial view of former President Donald Trump's motorcade making its way to the Fulton County Jail. We understand after he is booked in and has his photograph taken and then post bond, he will give an interview at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll have much more for you coming up on News Channel 8 at 11. I'll see you then. Good night.